This is a tutorial on how to add connection information between yourself and other people that are on the Weaving Lab Social System Map. We're looking here at a personal mapping dashboard on the Connections tab. When you go into your own dashboard, it will start at thumbnail. So you just click over here and it will say hello and provide your name. And what you'll see are tiles representing each of the people that are currently on the map with their name, their picture, and that little headline or tweet about their weaving activity. You don't access more detailed profile information here. So often what you may want to do is look at the people on the map first and then decide to come in here and show connections. But often you already know that this is a person you want to show a connection to. And we're showing 3 different particular kinds of connections, which we'll look at in just one second. But in addition to just scrolling through and finding people, you can do a search for a particular person's name, and that will help you to weed through, particularly once we get to larger numbers of people present on this map. So once you've found somebody you want to show a connection to or update an existing connection, you simply click on their tile and this little window pops up. It may wind up at the bottom if you've been here before, and click save. Very important to always click save. You may have to scroll up to the top. So here are some instructions that I'm going to cover right now. So we're looking for 3 different kinds of connections and not one type of connection that you might expect. So the 3 things we're trying to map here, or we are mapping, are appreciations, invitations and reports for closing triangles, more about that in a minute, and people you are currently collaborating with. What we're not mapping are all the people that we know, because that would create an enormous tangle of connections and would also be quite a lot of work for some of the people that have been around the Weaving Lab, especially in leadership roles for some time, for them to put all that data in. So let's take a look at appreciation data. You have a checklist of different ways that you might want to appreciate that person. And then you have a text box where you can provide a little bit more detail about that particular appreciation. And then this shows up on the map in the appreciations view. And what you see is a solid line if you've filled in a little bit of a story, and a dashed line if you simply check something off from the checklist. And you can click on any of these particular lines and actually see what they've said. So here's Denise saying that she's gotten personal support from Alex and they've had fun together, and provides a little bit more about why she appreciates him as a big systems thinker and visionary. Back here to the survey then, that's the appreciation section. Now we have the closing triangles invitation. So for those of you that may not be familiar with this technical term of network weaving, closing a triangle is simply inviting, suggesting that a person meet somebody else based on what you know about their interests. And there's quite a bit of data on the map now about people's interests, or there will be. You can sort through profiles based on that. There's even a particular question about the kinds of people somebody might want to meet. So you can be looking at the map data, see, oh, this person really looks like a great person. Based on what Denise is saying, I want to introduce her to such and such. And you put their name there. And then you have a choice. You can, ideally you want to have a 3-way meeting so that the invitation or the connection is more personal. But you can also just suggest that they contact them and use your name. Maybe there's some other approach you want to take. You can provide a little more information about how you want them to contact one another. Maybe they're on the map, maybe not. Maybe you're going to separately provide them with that information. And you can say a little bit more about why you're extending this invitation, which is highly recommended. And then if the triangle actually is closed, we want to track that as well. And so if I made a suggestion to Denise, then then that triangle gets closed, she might come back and show that that actually happened, and say when, and say a little bit about the meeting. If we go back to the map, you can see what this data will look like if we go to the closing triangles view. So here's an example with the test entry where in purple, in orange, that shows an invitation was made, and in purple, it shows that that connection was closed. And you could click again on these lines and see something about the nature of the invitation. So what you're going to want to do as an individual is come here regularly, find yourself, and maybe do a little focus. If there's a lot of data here, just so you see that, click on these connections and find out, who has been inviting me to meet. And you'll see that information that has been provided over here in this tab. And then the third type of data we're looking for has to do with current collaborators. So we want to get a sense of how many people are working together right now in the Weaving Lab, or have been in the recent past, not years and years ago. And similarly to the other fields, or sections, you have a checklist of options, and you can say more about your collaboration. And that also has its own separate view on the map, current collaborations. And as with many of these, if there's a story or more details about that in that text field, you'll see a solid line. And if it's simply just the checklist options, you'll see a dashed line for that. The other thing we're showing here is if you're collaborating within an organization or on a particular project, we're going to tag that in this teal color. And if it's some other form of collaboration, it'll be gray. And you'll see that that has to do with what's on this checklist here. So you might say we're supporting one another's work or looking for work together or something else. Those would be gray. If you check off either of these two, those would be teal. And again, once you've got your data in here, you click save and you're good to go.